morning, all you lovely people.
Good morning. Good morning.
Please join me as we light the chalice. The words are in your order of service. We light this beacon of hope, sign of quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together.
John. Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Low Country. My name is Charlie Tyler. I'm the pastoral minister here. And it's my privilege to welcome you into this sanctuary where you may begin or continue to deepen your journey to what you might consider your best self, and also where we gather together in a community to find what it means to be that beloved community together, to draw strength from each other as we stand in the presence of each other and offer ourselves as a gift. Welcome here. There's a number of announcements that I want to bring to our attention, but before I go any further, I see a number of new faces here, and I'm wondering if you'd be willing to stand where you are, give us your name, and tell us a little bit about where you're from. And I'm going to ask that the section that's on my far right, your far left, is there any new people who are visiting for the first or second time? If you would. Okay. In the center. First or second timers? On my far left, your right? None? Yes, if you would, please.
I think it's our second time we are visiting Betsy. We're visiting Betsy and Mike, and we live in Maryland.
Welcome, folks.
Now we're staying with them on the way back.
Thank you for being here. Are there others in the room? Thank you for your presence here and for the way that we celebrate our life together. I have been handed a note that Leslie Haas has a birthday today, and so just wanted to acknowledge that. Yeah, congratulations. And
happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Leslie. Happy birthday to you.
Also, during the rest of our service, there's an opportunity to send some birthday greetings to Pat Job. Some of you don't know Pat. He's one of our rotating ministers. Pat is celebrating his highway speed year this year, so he can now drive 70 and understand it. But we'll be giving you an opportunity to give him a gift later on in the service. Jan and John, yes, if you would please.
It's the Jan and John show.
See, there's method to our madness. Here, John, this one's yours.
Is it down far enough? Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so we have our little notes to make sure we don't misspeak. John and I were asked to head up the pledge campaign this year, and that's quite an honor given that we've only been here a year, so we were happy to do that. This year's slogan is, don't turn it around yet. You can, oh, thank you, David. Thank you. He's one of our crew members. So, thank you very much. Our
Star Trek fan, not Star Wars.
Yes, exactly. Join the club. Our slogan this year is, may the force be with you. Engage. And there is actually method to our madness here. Real intention. One of the basic tenets of our faith and our belief systems is that we go out into the world and do good. We help make the world a better place. Both Star Trek and Star Wars have that same basic tenet underlying them. Many of us are boomers, and we grew up, or were young people, with both of those franchises, Star Trek and Star Wars, and the ethos and ethics that were expressed in those two series very much affected many people. I know it certainly did myself. Again, with David as a Star Trekkie person more than Star Wars. But because their ethos in both of those franchises is the same as ours, basically. Go forth into the universe and do good. So that's kind of how we came up with all of this. And now it's on to Mr. John.
In other words, the same basic tenet that you, not to mention respecting all creatures, great and small, and treating everyone equally. Remember that first TV interracial kiss between Kirk and Uhura? We're planning a fun evening. It's called the Gala, with entertainment along with our guest speaker, Pat Jobe, who turns out he's got a lot of personal connections to both Star Trek and Star Wars.
And he jumped at the chance to do this.
Yeah, I have another thing here.
No, my turn now. Sorry.
So yes, we will be having the opening gala dinner. It's a dinner, but it's being termed the gala this year on March 23rd. And because we're new in the community and we know a lot of your faces, but not a lot of your names, we don't know people really to ask to help that much. So we meant to have a sign-up sheet this morning for that, and in the rush of getting ready, it got forgot. So just let us know if you would like to help with the committee to move forward with our pledge campaign. A number of chores, and tasks. And I can let you know what they are, but please let us know if you would like to help with that. We would love your help. John, I think you finish up. Oh, are we ready for our final? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so don't forget your action that goes with it. Okay, so may the force be with you.
Engage!
Thank you.
Phaser's on stun. Ashley, I know you have announcements you'd like to make too.
Okay. I'm here to engage you on a slightly different note with the job opportunity of a lifetime. I'm Ashley Trexler, and the Social Justice Committee graciously gained me a couple minutes of floor time to introduce you to a coveted community role within Beaufort County. I want to tell you about it. At first, you'll be assigned the role of manager, but don't worry, you're not in charge, because managers are workers, and workers are managers. I know, only in South Carolina. Your day-to-day duties might include charmingly guiding hundreds of befuddled citizens through a maze of technology during a notoriously long 14-hour shift, answering the same 3 questions endlessly, and even occasionally helping customers who climb around on all fours searching for an elusive brand name on your scanner. But fear not, your compensation will be enough to keep you fueled with lunch and gas, as long as you don't require organic or premium. So what are the requirements? Simple. You must possess the unparalleled ability to remain civil, wear a smile that could light up a room even when you feel like screaming, and be a registered voter in Beaufort or Jasper County. This position has the title Beaufort County Election Worker. After years of running a local precinct, I can tell you we have a critical need for more help. And the reason I'm up here today asking for your help is because many of us here today are privileged in our ability to choose how we spend our time, whether through owning our own businesses or retirement after a long career. I work elections because I believe in making it easier for our community to get out and vote, even when it would be much easier for me to stay at home and say I'm too busy. Our 5th UU principle, the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large. What better way to honor that principle than working to ensure democracy continues? New election worker training is a half day or so of your time, and conveniently it starts in a couple weeks through the end of April. Pay is actually increased to $235 per election, or you can choose to donate those funds back to the election board. Please consider volunteering this June for the primaries or November for the general election. You can try it once and just see how it goes, and feel free to see me after service if you have any questions or you would like the name of the Beaufort County Election Training Coordinator. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ashley. Wanted to announce those of you that are interested perhaps in becoming a member here at the Unitarian Universalist Church. Ann Harrison and myself have coordinated together to hold 3 classes beginning in April, starting on Sunday the 21st, immediately after the talkback, and then the Sunday following that, the 28th, and then May 5th, May 5. Those will be the 3 classes. So that young lady, would you stand in? I know, thank you. So that young lady is who you want to contact if you're interested in the path to belonging. Thank you. Some of you may have noticed on your way in that there are 2 new benches, teak benches, that either side of the doors. And I wanted to let the congregation know that these benches were donated by Kathy Quirk and her family. And so in her honor, we celebrate that and continue to hold her in the light in her own journey now as she does continue to weaken. I have seen her almost daily, and just bring that news to you. So I want to introduce now Carla Moore for her opening words. But before I do so, is there anything that I've missed? Is there any announcements?
Indivisible next Saturday.
Indivisible next Saturday at
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock here. Thank you. Carla transitioned from male to female in 2019 and lives alone with her German Shepherd dog, Ginger. She has an extensive background in home construction remodeling and maintenance going back 30 years. Carla spent 9.5 years in the United States Army, both as a postal clerk and later as an airborne infantry soldier jumping out of perfectly good airplanes. Carla attended Central Oregon Community College and Oregon State University. Let's make Carla feel welcomed as she brings the opening words.
Good morning, and thank you for inviting me to speak today. Hopefully it won't be too boring or too controversial. My name is Carla Fake-Moore. That is not the name I was born with. I was given my name by my parents of Carlton Kirksey Moore. My mom's maiden name was Kirksey. I chose Faith as my middle name because my faith journey has truly been a huge important part of helping me become the person I am today and the person I hope to become in the future. I grew up in a small town in Central Oregon. I grew up on the desert, fishing, hunting, doing all the things that you would expect somebody to do in the 60s and 70s. Hopefully I can put out some information. Hopefully some people will gain something from it. And that's pretty much it. I am who I am, and God love you.
Thank you, Carla. Congregation, if you would now take your hymnals into your hands, turn with me, if you will, to hymn number 123. May we stand together and sing Spirit of Life.
Okay, so I'm going to ask Charlie to come down here and give me a hand. Charlie? So, on Friday, Pat Job turned 70 years old. And he had a simple request for his birthday. He's wondering a few questions of you folks. So I'm going to ask the questions, and if you could raise your hand if you have a thought that you would like to share with Pat, feel free. So the first question is, what gets you out of bed in the morning? Does anyone have a thought on what they would like to share? What gets you out of bed? Diana?
The bladder.
Over here. Somebody just said the bladder. There we go. Okay.
Push the button. Green. There you go. It went red.
So we got over here.
Is it going red? Is it going red?
Is it going red, Charlie?
The cat? Oh, my dog.
Oh, yeah.
We got a cat and a dog.
Give me a little feedback.
And a bird. And a bladder.
Pat, you wouldn't believe the answers I'm getting down here. I'm not going to share all of them with you, but Kim Lewis has something she wants to offer what gets her up in the morning.
My cat gets me up in the morning.
Next question.
Anybody else?
Yeah, anybody else? Get me up in the morning?
Anybody else? What gets you up in the morning?
Okay, more hands. Wonderful.
Ralph gets me up in the morning with a cup of coffee.
A cup of coffee. Okay, Ralph and a cup of coffee. There you go, Pat. Cup of coffee. Who else? Anyone else want to let Pat know?
Yeah.
Marshall.
The happy realization that I'm still here at 86.
There you go, Pat. Something to look forward to. The happy realization that he's still here at 86.
And Pat's the happy realization he's 70. So, yes.
Okay, Greg.
Burning my calories today.
The urge to practice music.
The urge to practice music. The love of music.
Oh,
yeah.
wonderful.
Okay. Anthony in the back. Somebody, George is saying donuts.
All right, I hate to, be rude, but I know everybody has this on their mind. Urine, sorry.
Okay.
I told you.
Somebody already said bladder, Anthony. That's okay. Okay, so the next question is, in your life, Pat would like to know, what brings you the greatest joy? What brings you the greatest joy in your life? Over here, Mary.
People.
People, there you go.
Good answer.
Okay, good answer. Who else? Diana again. Diana.
Love.
Love. Diana says love.
Others.
What else? What else brings you joy in your life?
Family.
Family. Somebody called out family. Mike.
Dancing with Miss Betsy.
Dancing with Miss Betsy brings joy. Nice. Okay.
Playing music.
Playing music. John just shot out here. John. Clay. My wife. Okay. Wynette. Okay. Cheryl.
Nature.
Nature. Taking a walk in nature. Who likes to walk in nature? Almost everybody in this room right now, Pat, has just raised their hand. That's amazing. Look at that. What else? Okay, Dave in the back. Charlie. What brings you joy, Dave?
Walking on the beach with Hiagwa and Kai.
Walking on the beach with Hiagwa and Kai. What else brings you joy, folks? What else brings you joy? Singing. Kathy Burmeister singing. Good. Okay, Greg again. What brings you joy, Greg?
Hearing music.
Hearing music. Playing music, hearing music. Good. Over here, Jan.
That's okay, I got a loud voice. Thank you, sir.
Dance.
Dance. Do you watch Dancing with the Stars? No.
No
Okay.
comment.
No comment on Dancing with the Stars.
Coming
Donna.
here.
Coming here brings the greatest joy. Greatest joy in life. Yeah, Cheryl.
Usually George.
Always leaving room for an exception.
Laughing with my friends.
Diana says laughing with their friends. And Ellen, behind you, Charlie. Ellen has her hand up.
I'd have to say, belonging to a church that has 4 different wonderful ministers and one who just turned 70, who actually took the time to write a song about our church.
There you go. Our 4 ministers who speak at our congregation, including Dick Hood, Charlie Tyler, Neil Jones, and Pat Job.
And Pat Job brings me joy.
Last question. Last question for you today. How do you handle frustration? When you're frustrated.
Not well.
Not well. Perfect. We have a not well handling frustration. I heard Kathy Burmeister say, really? Poorly, okay. Anyone want to guide Pat on how to handle frustration? Jan?
I go in a private place and I scream my head off.
So she believes in primal scream therapy. Cheryl?
Double chocolate vodka.
Double chocolate vodka. Okay, Cheryl. In the back there, Jackie.
Ice cream to Diana.
A to-do list and ice cream.
A to-do list and ice cream, okay. Over here, we have Sarah.
I sing Spirit of Life, like when I'm unbalanced.
Really? Okay. Sarah sings Spirit of Life when she's feeling unbalanced and frustrated. Over here, Mary, Charlie.
For me, the Serenity Prayer.
The Serenity Prayer. Nice. Okay. Diana, behind you, Charlie.
I write.
She's a writer. Very good. Okay. Anyone else? How do you handle frustration? Marilyn, is it? You what?
I call Betsy.
You call Betsy. So everybody, after service, let's get Betsy's phone number. And when you're frustrated, give her a call. Anything else that you feel when you're frustrated? What makes you tick? What gets you out of bed in the morning? And what's your greatest joy? I think one of my greatest joys is not only standing in front of you folks here and having the privilege of standing in front of you, is going to be hearing you sing Happy Birthday to Pat Job. Ready? Let me turn the microphone.
With feeling.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Pat. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you all very much. Nice job. Nice job. Now it's going to go over to Beth, I think.
Well, that's a tough act to follow. First of all, I'd like to thank all of you that have left donations on the back table for the Sandalwood Pantry and Bluffton Self-Help. They will certainly be very appreciated. This warm and inviting place where we gather exists because we make it so with our contributions, with our gifts of our time, our treasure, our talents, our food, our love, our laughter, and our caring for each other. So now we will take your offerings that support this faith community in the work that it does with us and beyond these walls. And if you are visitors with us, your presence is our present. So please let the basket pass. Thank you for your generosity, and I'm going to get some more.
Now is the time in our service where we share our joys and concerns. By sharing our joys, they are multiplied, and we get lots and lots of support and help when we share our concerns. If you come forward, please take a stone from the basket, state your name and what your joy or concern is, and then place the stone in the cairn. Please, no political statements or announcements. Thank you. I have a joy. My name is Lynn. And on Monday, my partner Gordon underwent surgery in Pittsburgh for excess fluid on his brain. And in layman terms, they put a drip line in, and it drips into his stomach. And I will tell you, the neurosurgeon said optimum results can take 4 to 5 months. Well, we can see wonderful results already. I'm Jan.
I'm John.
And we are very happy to tell you that we have found our forever home. After just 2 months renting in Margaritaville, we are buying a house there, and everything is moving forward fast, and we'll be moving in mid-April. What do you want to say about it?
Anybody have boxes?
And what's so cool is that, you know, when you go look at places, you have a wish list, right, that you check off. And usually 80% at most is what you get, and that's, you accept that. This house literally had 100% of everything, so we are very happy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Marion, is this right? I was very sick with COVID. I've been negative for 2.5 weeks, I think. But the thing was, I live in Palmetto Bay Marina Village, which is 4.5 stories high. And I only knew a few neighbors. But the one of the neighbors that I knew, what happened is I slipped off the bed and fell on the floor in the middle of the night. Well, maybe it was 7 in the morning. I couldn't get up. Oh no, that's not true. I just went to sleep on the floor. But I called one neighbor, and within 5 minutes, I had 5 women come all together to get me up, get me on my couch. The 2 gentlemen down the hall, Mike and Michael, who are acquaintances but kind of good friends, made big breakfast for all of us. Michael went out and bought me a chicken and salad and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, I'm going to be I'm putting my house on the market. So now I feel sad in a way because I've never had anything like that happen in my life, that so many people came. And so I have so much gratitude. And I get better, you know. I mean, I was able to, I had no strength, that was the problem. But I'm exercising and everything again, and I feel good, just tired. You know how that is. It was the fourth time I had COVID, and I got hit really hard this time. And so I'm grateful to be here, and I'm grateful for those wonderful people. And it taught me something that I've known, but I forget, you know how you do that. Or at least I do. How generous people are and how wonderful people are. And I know that, but to have that happen to me, I just had to express my joy and find that a million people that aren't you-yous are just as wonderful.
Mike is my new walker. I'm Betsy with the news from our care committee, and I have very sad news. Alyssa Flamenhoff has been diagnosed with a large tumor in her brain. She was diagnosed at Hilton Head Hospital, and she now has a room in Memorial Hospital in Savannah. I've spoken with both Alyssa and Frank. Frank has suggested that Alyssa would appreciate cards at their home in Hilton Head. And Alyssa says to tell you that she appreciates all of your care and love. I think they're both in shock at this point, as I imagine that we are. News of Mary Watson. You remember that I told you that a couple of weeks ago she had very serious heart surgery. I think it took 7 hours for the surgery. And she was really afraid she wouldn't survive. Well, she called me last week and she said, I'm home. And she just sounded like her old self. She's looking forward to family visiting her this month. And she said to tell you that she believes everything will be okay. And you know, Carol isn't here today, is she? She hasn't been coming to services lately, but she was there with Mary before, during, and after. And she was getting groceries, she was taking Mary's husband places because he doesn't drive. She was there, and so just a big thank you to her. And finally, Kathy Zeiser. Kathy and her family continue at her husband Bud's side as he continues with his end-of-life journey. Kathy says they almost lost him twice last week. She sends you all of her love and her thanks. And she misses us, and we certainly do miss her. Thank you.
Hi there, my name's Steve. I have a couple of joys and some concerns. So the joy is that
Perfect.
Is that we've had lots of support in our safety and security team. We have a team of Andrea and me and John Wall and Jackie Stahl are the core of the safety team. And we have had some safety patrols. You remember back when you were in elementary school, you had a safety patrol belt with a little badge. So our safety patrols, there's about 8 or 10 of us have been helping out, watching the door. So that's my joy. My concern is that we have an empty calendar. No one signed up, and Andrew and I will be leaving, And so we're going to post on Facebook. If anybody would like to do some safety patrols out, all you have to do is stand out and you can dance and make Charlie laugh, whatever you want to do. But it's a needed thing. We talked to the sheriff's department. They said we always have to work in teams of two, just like when you're swimming. You should always have somebody to let people out, let people in. The door's locked, just like at home. You know, you don't leave your home. You don't stay in your home at night with your door unlocked. So we're keeping the door locked. It's just like wearing your seatbelt. You don't expect to get in a wreck. So, but you always wear your seatbelt. So that's my concern. So hopefully next week we can turn it into a joy. Thank you.
I guess I have a concern, and it starts with the prelude and fugue in B flat, which some of you probably noticed John was playing as we sat down in our chairs. And my concern is that there's too much noise when John's playing. We have a master pianist in our midst who practices every week for hours just so he doesn't miss a note. And he plays beautifully. So my request is that when we first get in, rather than sharing news with our neighbors, we just listen. And if you want it to really come home to you, close your eyes and just listen. That's my concern.
I love that, thank you. John's music is so special for me. And my name is Leslie, and I recently joined, and during the Path to Belonging class that was so wonderfully given by Charlie and Ann, I got a mug and a special stone that I carry with me. And this cup is so important to me. I enjoy my coffee in it in the morning, and even though it's microwave safe, I don't even put it in the microwave. I use my older cups and I make my coffee, and then I pour it into this cup. But there was a disaster. I dropped that cup onto this cup, and it broke. And at first, when I heard the crash, I was devastated, and I had just heard Pat Jobs talk about brokenness and the discussion about kintsugi. And I got the best glue, and I went and got a gold pen, and I repaired it. And now I drink with this with even more pride. So thank you to everyone for the knowledge of brokenness and letting light in, and our church, our congregation letting light out. And I'll put this in the basket, but I'm keeping the other. I will place 2 stones in the cairn for the joys and concerns that remain in your heart. Please join me in the affirmation, which is number 459 in the back of your hymnals. This is the mission of our faith, to teach the fragile art of hospitality, to revere both the critical mind and the generous heart, to prove that diversity need not mean divisiveness, and to witness to all that we can hold the whole world in our hands.
Thank you once again for inviting me to be here today to share a little bit about my story of transformation and faith. And that is something that's very important to me, faith, as I said before. And listening to y'all talk about joy, what brings you joy, what brings me joy and happiness, and really is in some respects the root of my faith in a higher being, is the sound of a child's laughter. And hearing y'all laugh about so many things brought back a great memory. I was raised as a Presbyterian USA. On my father's side, my grandfather, my grandmother, I don't recall them ever being in a church unless it was a wedding or a funeral. My father was a very faithful person. My mother's side of the family was of the Mormon tradition. And one year, when I was perhaps 10 years old, we were at a family reunion with that particular side of the family. And my dad, of course, being Presbyterian and being who he was, did all of the bad things. Drank alcohol, smoked cigarettes, drank coffee, all those horrible things. But kids loved him. And my cousin Jeremy was there one day, and my dad was fishing. And he says, "I'm Mormon. What are you?" My dad says, I'm Presbyterian. Jeremy says, "Is that like Catholic?" My dad's kind of like, "Yeah, kind of." "Well, what do you believe in?" "We believe in having a little fun every day." Jeremy looked at him and said, "Even on Sundays?" I said, "Yeah, even on Sundays." And that night, sitting around the campfire, Jeremy stood up and proudly announced that when he grew up, he was going to be Presbyterian. The next morning we got up, and they were gone. They took life way too seriously. And I'm a firm believer that God has a great sense of humor. My story began 60-some years ago in Eugene, Oregon. My parents were 21 years old when they had me, and they did the absolute best they could raising me. They were loving, wonderful people. For at least 45 of those years, I knew I was different. And most of my conversations with God started with, why? Why did you make me this way? What did I do to deserve these feelings? Or they went the other direction with, God, if you really are all-powerful, fix me. Obviously, none of those things happened. For many, many years, I went to church out of obligation because I felt like I needed to go, because it was Easter or Christmas, or it had been 6 months since I'd been in a church. I sat in the back row. I disappeared. As soon as the church was over, service was over, I was out the door. I always parked for a quick escape. My discussion and my true belief is God is love. God's a 3-letter word for love. And I base that on a lot of things. One is, as I said, I'm raised in a Christian tradition. I have attended Baptist service, Methodist service, Presbyterian services. I've found the difference in the past 5 years between an affirming church and an accepting church and a non-accepting church. Funny thing is, that book, or actually it's a library of books, it's not one book, is used to justify every one of those people's beliefs. My father, and I would argue, as children, parents do from time to time. And in church, oftentimes, my father would open up the book, And he would find that passage that supported his argument. And then I would have to leaf through this same book and find the passage that supported my argument. And that led me at an early age to realize that you can make these books say anything you want them to say. But as I said, I struggled for many years. And I don't know why, but apparently my faith, I thought I had a lot of power because I bargained with God. If you don't fix me, I'm going to quit believing in you. Yeah, I was a powerful person. Eventually, my mom passed. I found myself in a position where I was extremely lonely. And I had known what I was for many years, and I say what I was because it's not who I am. And I started talking to some people. One of the first people I actually came out to was my sister, who has a gay son, who I knew would accept me, but even knowing that was a difficult conversation. I approached her probably 4 times before I told her 5 times. My father, who was still alive at the time, was even a harder discussion. I jumped out of airplanes in 50 below weather in Alaska. That was harder. And I have to correct one thing. I never jumped out of a perfectly good airplane. I jumped out of a C-130. By the time we got ready to jump, it was let me out of this thing. So I had that conversation with my father, and luckily his answer was, of course I accept you. You're my baby boy. He had a lot of trouble with this whole gender thing, and was only around for shortly less than a year after I told him. And when he passed, I was out at church. I had gone to church as myself, my authentic self, with my father. I'd taken him out to lunch a couple of times, and at one point, one of the last times we went to lunch, his comments on leaving the restaurant was, nobody even looked at you funny, which was his way of saying, it's going to be okay. I talked with my pastor, I went to church, and I think every congregation has a person like this, but in my congregation, her name was Miss Judy. Miss Judy was about 5 foot nothing, about 80 years old, and she invited me to coffee after service. I'd been going to this church for 25 years, and she escorted me to our fellowship hall, and I went and got my coffee, and I went to sit down, and nope, that wasn't going to happen. Miss Judy stood me there at the door and introduced me to everybody that came through the door. Most of those people I had been sitting in church with for 15, 20 years. I didn't know their names. They didn't know my name. They asked me, how long had I been going to that church? Well, I've been sitting in the back for the last 15 years. I have listened to people tell me, once again using this series of books, that I'm an abomination, that I am possessed by a demon, and that I am going to go to hell. Oh, and also, you cannot be a Christian. You are not a Christian. Of course, my response is pretty much, you're wrong, but you're entitled to your belief. Oh, we're up here again.
It's not working up there. Just tell me when you want to change the slide, okay?
Fair enough. I guess you could probably go ahead and skip forward to about 3 slides.
Okay.
See where we're at here? I'm going to go ahead and go to the next one. It's a picture of me in 2015 and a picture of me this last December. Because transformation is about changing things, changing the outward appearance, but more importantly, the inward appearance, how we see ourselves. I'm much happier now than I was then. Life isn't perfect, but it's good. Yeah, go ahead. So this is one of the words that so many in our current very divided society will use to say that I am not authentic. God created man. Well, if you read that literally, God created mankind in His image. A lot of people try to say God is He. I tend to refer to God as He or they or them, because I do believe that God embodies all gender and all sexes. And I look outside and I look at a flower and I have a hard time believing that that is the result of some random molecules coming together and, as they tell us in evolution theory, I believe there is a creator. I believe that creator wants us to love each other and to love God. The way we show that love can be many ways. I do not say I know the exact way. I think that's one of the biggest fallacies mankind has, of saying this is the only way to God. Because I do believe that there are lots of paths to God. I think the underlying idea of sin, and this is my own personal definition, has nothing to do with who you are. It is if you are intentionally inflicting pain or suffering on another individual. We've probably all inflicted pain on somebody unintentionally. But that's my personal definition of sin. I struggled with the faith for many years until I realized that I read the passage, which would be the next slide, Matthew 22, where Christ says, love God? Oh, I guess this goes back to the praying the gay away where I talked to God for many, many years. Didn't work. So, sorry. This is directly out of the most recent, I'm not sure, I guess things got mixed up. The Presbyterian Church USA has a frequently asked questions on LGBTQ issues, and they have specifically made it a point that you're either affirming or you're not Presbyterian USA. And this is one of the things which I had expressed several years before is, being the person God created me to be is not sinful, it's not wrong, it's celebrating God. It's a challenge. God tests us all in our own unique ways. And hopefully we've got the strength, the faith to accept that and be ourselves. I realized God loved me just the way I was. And this has led me into more exploration and more education on what exactly this book talks about. And if you happen to be of the Christian tradition as I am, and you have read that book, it's not a rule book, it's not specifically a history, it is a guide to how to be better people. Part of that guidance is to love God and love your neighbor as yourself. And if your neighbor doesn't love themselves, like I didn't for many years, it's very hard to love each other. Now I can reach out and I can say, thank you for being in my life. Me and my sister had a tense relationship for most of our adult life. We're much closer now. And I have found that the vast majority of humanity, they got their own sack of rocks. And I'm not going to add any more rocks to my sack because I don't want it to get any heavier to carry around. So, once again, I really want to thank you for inviting me here. I wasn't exactly sure what to expect. And I'm not sure that I know exactly what to say. Except that we meet people where they are. We accept them where they are and how they are. And by doing that, we become closer to God, if that's what you happen to believe, to the Creator, to each other. And I look at the root of many words, and the root of congregation is to congregate, to be a community, to share our beliefs, and to comfort each other. I think that's very important. And with that, I think I'll let it go on. I think I've used up my 15 minutes or so. I will be here a little later after the service to answer any more specific questions about what it is to be transgender, all of these great things. So, God bless.
Hi, I'm Ellen. David, as you probably a lot of you know, David. And when I was growing up, when I was in my 20s, I was a Unitarian all my life. But when I was in my 20s, I had very close relationships with a lot of other Unitarians my age, and a lot of them were struggling. There were a lot of people that were questioning and wondering, and I didn't have to struggle myself, but that doesn't mean I didn't struggle along with them and trying to make sense of it. So when I was in my 20s, I wrote this song, and we're going to share it with you right now. I can feel my heart, it is beating like a train in the middle of the night on the tracks to nowhere. I can hear the sound, it is beating like a drum in the middle of the night. Where am I going? All I need is my music and some wine and a man with the time to hold me. My head is buzzing with so many thoughts, I can't think straight, I need to center. It's all a blur, I don't know why, I cannot think, where am I going? All I need is my music and some wine and a woman with the time to hold me. Lighting the candle, looking at the flame, it's burning hot, I can hear my name, who's calling? Watching the glow, it's burning bright, who's that in the night calling? All I need is my music and some wine and a friend with the time to hold me. The wick burns down, the candle's out. I am calm without a doubt. There's no more voices. All I needed was to clear my head, drag my weary soul to bed. That's all I need. All I needed is a song in my soul and a spirit that is whole. That's all I need.
So, Bob and Marilyn from Maryland, thank you for being with us today. Come back when you can as you're passing through. We'd love to have you stop. We're also online on a regular basis too, so please feel free to join us. Carla, that was amazing. Thank you for your courage and for your words and for us to see what it's like and how we might be together in this journey called life. I thank you for being here. I want to remind everybody of Talk Back. We meet back here, gather in a circle. Carl will be sitting with us, and you have an opportunity to hear again some of the things that are core for her, as well as to ask her questions that might be helpful for you to orient yourself. So you're more than welcome to stay for the Talk Back. One of the things that we have found is that it's in the Talk Back that many of you who are first, second timers, or guests discover really our personality and our character as a congregation, and usually it's pretty overwhelming, so I hope that you can stay. I think that's all the closing remarks that I need to make. Carla, if you would please, your final thoughts.
Not sure what to say except thank you once again. And this is the part of the service that a Presbyterian preacher get up there and say, you know, do this, do that. But all I'm going to say is go forth and be loving, kind people that I know that you are. Live long and prosper.
Please stand if you're willing and able, and join me in extinguishing the chalice. The words are in your order of service. While we extinguish this flame, we whisper with us in our hearts and truth. the warmth of community, the fire of commitment, until we are together again.
They have nice models. They have very nice models. We didn't look at the models
Well, one that we have actually is
Oh, really?
and we didn't get to see it. Everything about
Yeah, I know. And we left a month ago.
And our owner, as we read from him, really, he understands, and he's got to get us a renter in there. But our realtor, who's been fantastic, he put out a call as soon as there's permission to do it. And we've got somebody already who's coming Monday to look at this. He wants it for his parents who's moving here from South Carolina.